Dark wave. Break it down. Dark wave. Break it down. Dark wave. Dark wave. Break it down. Dark wave. Break it down. Dark wave.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for something a little bit different here for the Simrigs Sprint Series. Hello everybody, my name is Nick Amon, and I want to welcome you to tonight's broadcast here at Snetterton, a new circuit here on the OR calendar. Should be pretty exciting stuff. Drivers right now currently getting their warm-up laps and getting ready for qualifying in just a couple of minutes. And joining me here in the booth this evening, none other than Charles Phillips. Charles, how's it going?
Yeah, very good here. How about you, Nick?
Oh, you know, we're hanging in there like we normally do. I don't know about you, but I've took a couple laps here around Snetterton. Have you?
Oh yeah, I just did it to see how it feels, and I think it is quite an interesting circuit.
Yeah, right there with you. Hello to Parody Tufo Custard Vino, who we thought wasn't going to be here, but apparently he is, so I wonder what that's all about. And Carlo and Moritz as well. Thank you guys for joining us. Hopefully you're all having a wonderful day wherever you may be. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, of course, as always. But yeah, we're here at Snetterton. It's a track that I found quite difficult, quite tricky, in fact. I don't know if I'm just washed up or if it was actually just that hard.
Yeah, I think it is a very difficult track. All of the curbs, if you hit them wrong, you are likely to cause an incident. So let's hope we do not have a lot of those today, and I hope we have a good race.
Yeah, hopefully there's one of the corners later on. I think towards the third to last corner, you have that weird little bit of undulation, the dip in the ground on the inside. If you get out of that just a little too offside, you're gonna completely spin out. But looking at the stats so far this season, Roombout and Bauer, your top two right now, have 2 wins apiece. Both of them picking up a win in that super sprint that we had at the start of the season, and then both of them picking up another win, one at Brands Hatch, one at Misano. So we're going to see who here is actually going to take win number 3, or if we're going to have to wait another week. Current standings, though, Bauer is in first position, followed by Vinogradov, followed by Roombouts. Vinogradov is here, so he'll be looking to gain some points right now. The gap, though, from Bauer to second, or Roombouts, I think is 3 points, or it might be to Vinogradov. It's very, very tight there right at the top, so that battle is still going on down in the Pro-Am category, so those black boxes there with the white numbers. Beauchart, who's currently in 10th at the moment, is sitting P4 in the championship, 262 points, a 64-point gap over the 148 that Cairns has. Cairns is down in 8th position, and then Huziak, who is in 11th, ironically enough, has been promoted. So normally he'd be 3rd in the Pro-Am category, but now he's been moved around. So things are looking a little different. And then for the amateur class, Abelstead has moved from the Lamborghini over to the BMW. So we'll see how that goes for him. He's currently P1 in the amateur class championship, 43 points, or 143 points. Gives him a 28-point gap to Olberg with 115 and Brioso 111. So that second place still very much yet to be decided, although it should be noted that Olberg and Brioso both have quali bans from penalty points they've accrued in previous sessions, so they will not be getting to participate. They will be starting at the back, and we're going to see what they can do. But yeah, it's still very much too early to call the championship, but I think we're going to be spending a good bit of time looking at Bauer and Roombouts if they're as close as they are now.
Yeah, as you said, Nick, Bauer, Roombouts, and Vinogradov are all within 13 points of one another, and I think it is going to be a close fight through the season, and yeah, I think anything can happen.
Yep, it's always exciting, especially with these new circuits that we haven't driven here in the Sprint Series. Of course, this is part of the British GT pack that came out earlier on. But already drivers are getting out onto circuit, and if I'm not mistaken, it will be Simon Bauer, our current championship leader, and of course former OOR caster, out on circuit first, and behind him is Cuthbert there in one of the hottest looking McLaren liveries, if you ask me. But yeah, with this new circuit, a lot of new challenges for these drivers, especially, if you look at our calendar for this season at least. We have things like Suzuka, we have Misano, we had Paul Ricard, we had Bathurst, Brands Hatch, we're going to have Imola, Donington, Hungary, Barcelona. I mean, these are all tracks that drivers have raced on countless times, so to have something new like this throws a little bit of a wrench in the works.
Oh yeah, definitely. This is a very new circuit to a lot of these drivers because it is not a circuit that is raced on very often in ever really, because yeah, it is very unpopular for these cars. There is not many overtaking spots, and you really have to drive carefully to survive around here. I think it is going to be a real challenge to these drivers, and yeah, as you said, Nick, anything can happen in this race.
Exactly. I think this circuit's maybe more suited for maybe GT4, something a little bit slower. And when you look at some areas of this circuit and just how narrow these spaces are, it's amazing you can even get one GT3 through there. So we'll see how these drivers manage, though. Of course, some very high caliber talent. Simon Bauer going through a corner that I talked about earlier with a little bit of a dip in it that can unsettle the car, and then through this very, very long right-hander that just seems to go on before you hit that 90 degree left hand. But let's take a ride here with your current championship leader, Simon Bauer, the number 100 SOP Motorsport Honda, as he crosses the line to start this first lap. If you've been struggling around this circuit, well, let one of OR's best tell you how it's done right before that final board there on the left. A little brake tap. Some drivers do have to downshift, and that'll help them keep just grip through the corner into this very heavy braking zone down into first gear. It's almost painfully slow. You feel like you're losing all that time as you head up. There's a little light box there or something on the left side. Drivers can use that as a brake marker, or they can use those little signs, run it out as wide onto the curb as you can. You got a little bit of a break here. You're going to notice some tents on the side. That second one usually is the break point for many, but for Bauer, it's pushed a little bit further. Get some more speed into the corner, more speed out of the corner. Then through here, that little track marshal post is where you're going to be braking, and onto that runoff. It's really bumpy out there. You'll be surprised how often that can unsettle the car. And then the corner we just passed, you can really just cut that off. You don't even have to worry about it. Track limits in some parts are mere suggestions. And then at the end of the green there, before you go into this right-hander, now you've got this nice long backstretch to kind of sit there, take a moment, get ready to pick up your brake point. So we head under the bridge here, brake right at the one, throw it down a couple of gears into the next corner. You can give it a little bit of gas to keep the car balanced, but you're not going to be worrying about that all too much. Into this little dip coming out of here, it's crucial that you don't steer too much. You will oversteer the car, you will spin out. And you can see Bauer, I mean, this is just bravery here, knowing that you have to hold the throttle down for oh so long, and then to release at the right time. And then you're braking usually in between the third and fourth double bollards, even a little further if you're feeling it. But that's a lap of Snetterton done quite easily, and it will be the 146 for Bauer, but it appears as though he's cut the track at some point, so it will not count. Rumbouts, though, only 2/10 ahead right now.
Yeah, it is a very close qualifying, as we have seen even in the free practice session, if you have paid attention to the times. The top two were at one point separated by a few 100ths of a second, so I think it is a difficult track, but can be easily optimized if you try enough.
Absolutely. And the thing is we're in England, so you're either going to get a lot of hills or you're going to get a lot of plains, and unfortunately here in Norfolk, it is a plain. It's a very flat circuit, not quite Paul Ricard flat, but I'd say it's pretty close. And personally, that kind of messes me up a little bit, because things might just, you might see, oh, this turn that you're not getting to for another 30 seconds kind of blends in with the foreground. You get a little confused.
Oh yeah, definitely, I think so. You can very easily mistake some turns because really everything looks very similar around this track, and I personally do not know it the best, but looking at the track map, I can sort of navigate myself around it.
Yeah, it's just figuring out the whole break point, turn-in point. That's what throws me off a little bit. But after that, it's pretty easy. But no, I ran this a little bit just to get a feel, because with a lot of these circuits, like we said earlier, they've been raced time and time again, so you know how it is. But whenever it's a new track like this, I want to get some time, sit there, run some laps, figure it out. I did about half an hour and realized, wow, this is nowhere close to easy. What is easy, though, is Simon Bauer picking up a 45.63. that's quite quick.
Oh yeah, that is a very quick timer on this track, and as I noticed there, out of that corner on the straight, a lot of people are going off there and invalidating their laps, so might be a game of just putting in a lap.
Yeah, that's
As we
actually...
see Rose there, I think he was letting somebody through, or maybe he went off, not sure.
I think he was letting someone through. He's very slow there, and this isn't even the final corner. But yeah, it's actually a good point you mentioned that final corner. It's so easy to go wide. So obviously Jake Rose here, currently P4, just slowing down there as he had to let someone through. But going through that corner, you have that huge sausage curve on the inside, and then the runoff on the outside, you feel like it's going to be nice and flat, but there's actually a little bit of elevation change on it, and that can unsettle the car and set you off. So yeah, I think we'll see a lot of invalidations there, especially here at this corner as we have one of the McLarens off, Rose running wide there. So it's going to be interesting, especially, I mean, this is qualifying. Oh, there you go.
Oh, and yeah, there it goes. There goes that lap.
How easy it is, though, to lose it at this track is kind of terrifying in some of these corners, especially the slower speed ones. You want to keep as much speed, obviously, but you know that if you just let off a little too much, you're going to be over, under, and out. So I don't know. It's going to be a sight to behold later on in the race. Simone Ippolito is just getting about halfway through this lap right now. Currently P7 with a 147.357. So trying to line up those sevens there. Maybe a little bit of luck here this evening.
Yeah, I think it is all about skill and luck in racing, so you have to have a bit of both to win it.
Absolutely. So your top four, it's currently Honda, Porsche, and then Vinogradov manages to put his 144 Porsche machine there into that top five. So the German manufacturers holding steady there in those first five. And then we have Cairns there in the McLaren, Ippolito in the Aston Martin, two British manufacturers here, home soil for them. And then it's Nemeth in the BMW, Cuthbert in the McLaren as well. Then Abelstead rounding out that top 10. Very good lap there from Abelstead in the BMW there, especially for amateur classes. His livery's a little messed up, but that's okay. Made the switch. I did not have a... Or no, I didn't make the switch, but either way. He's doing very, very well, especially because you think about amateur class, you normally expect them a little bit further down, but he's running faster than a couple of our pro and pro-am drivers, even Zenaker as well.
Oh yeah, I think the change to the BMW has really benefited him a ton. And speaking of that livery, it is rather interesting. I think he just copy-pasted the livery from the McLaren.
Well, he is...
Or no, what was it? Lamborghini?
Yeah, Lamborghini. He did say, and I'm quoting here, he says, "Sorry for the way my car looks. The livery has not updated as it should with my car swap." For those of you that don't know, in seasons past, we've had liveries created by the OOR, and we've used those. But what we've done in the last couple seasons is we said, you know what, guys, you're adults, you can do this, you can make your own livery, submit it to us, we'll take a look, see if it's appropriate, and then we'll, either give you the green light or give you, I guess, a meatball flag if you got to go and fix it. So we've seen a lot of really good liveries. What we've had to do in the past was I would get a little zip file from one Glenn Germain, and I would just take those and I would throw them in the folder and pray that they all worked. But now what Glenn did, because he's an absolute beast, is he went ahead and actually created a livery sync tool. So I guess there's a central database and it pulls all the liveries from that. So I think we've had a couple of updates, so I'll have to go in, I'll have to remove every single livery, and then once that's done, I'll have to go back in and add every single livery again. So that way next week we'll be good to go. And next week, speaking of which, is Suzuka. That is going to be a super sprint round. So we'll have those two races instead of just the one. So that's going to be very exciting. A nice change of pace, I think, from the plains of England.
Oh yeah, I think so, and especially from going from a mini enduro to a sprint and then to a super sprint, I think that is a very nice contrast we are having there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's always exciting to see how the super sprints go, especially when you have that reverse grid for race number 2. you'll have people like, Simon Bauer, or who are already Rumbouts, Daniel Hearn in the back, who are starting, 10, 11, 12, and they have to pick their way through all those cars ahead, and it creates for some very chaotic and very close racing. And especially at a track like Suzuka, when you look at how that track is laid out, you have the first half that's very slow, it's very technical, very tight, and then you get to the latter half, and it's just full throttle until the end almost.
Yeah, of course, and especially in the super sprints, once you have the almost reversed grid, if you know how to defend and you are a slower car, I think you will get a very, very good position in that race.
Absolutely, you really do, and you can really hinder drivers behind who may be going for another win, another championship, possibly. Vinogradov just now putting in that 146.15, still half a second off of Bauer. I mean, a 45. I think I saw in the other splits, I believe the best time I saw was under a 45. I could be wrong, or under a 46, excuse me. But if there's something better, it's got to be better than a 45.63 by Bauer. That's insane.
Yeah, I think it was something like a low 45 that was just about beating Bauer, but there's still 3 minutes left, and yeah, we will see what happens.
Well, it's pretty kind of set up there at the top. Vinogradov's in the pits, Rumbout's in the pits, Fredriksson as well, Hearn's still out there. Bauer, I think, just getting out there. He was sitting in the pits for a while, probably getting some setup changes, maybe waiting for a little bit more grip or some air or something. Nemeth right now, one of the newer drivers there, a little bit loose. Down in P12, was looking at a P11 start, but an improvement of 0.3 right now would actually put him into the top 10, pushing Bouchard there out, and actually Abelstead would stay in. Abelstead improving up to P9. We got to give that man a promotion. Come on.
Oh yeah, he has really been performing very, very amazingly last 2 rounds, and I think he can definitely be competing in Pro-Am without a problem.
Yeah, and the thing is, Bouchard is, or not Bouchard, excuse me, Abelstead. Abelstead, I believe, had a 9th place finish the last time out, so looking to repeat that. But it is surprising to see someone of, amateur class designation, not to, obviously not to downplay them or anything, but again, when you have someone that you look at and you say, well, amateur class, you should be back there with, Zineker, Huneveld, Hutton, Friel, and Olberg, but to be ahead of them by a country mile, I mean, over a second, or actually, just about 0.6 to Zineker, Andreas, of course, both brothers in the Audi, but yeah, no, it's amazing to see, and Nemeth just goes right up into 8th, so Bouchard's out of the top 10, but Abelstead stays, albeit by 0.05.
Oh yeah, and speaking of underdogs, just look at Jake Rose, Pro-Am beating a lot of professional drivers in here, so I think he's also very fit for a promotion if he performs well in this and the next round. As he gets a bit of oversteer there on the corner, I think that lap is gone.
Possibly, yeah, but no, that is very surprising. 6th position, splitting up Fredriksson and Ippolito, both Aston Martin drivers, and you can see just a little ahead of him, Hearn and Vinogradov also in the Porsche there, but they have much faster lap times. Hearn's lap time is almost a full second ahead of Rose, and then there's about 0.7 to Vinogradov, so he's got a little bit of extra speed to find, but he's pulling off. He's done. He's not going to get another lap. By the time he gets back, it's going to be over, under, and out. We also saw another Porsche there, I believe. Daniel Hearn. Yeah, Daniel Hearn's in the pit, so he's all done. So let's see who's out there. Nemeth will have a chance to... actually won't have a chance, I apologize. But across the line, where is this?
P6.
No, that's still very good. It was a 0.6 improvement for the Hungarian. So that's going to look very, very nice there on the shelf, if you will. And the only other drivers out at the moment who are on a lap that are improving, it's Rumbouts here and Vinogradov. Rumbouts, I think, running a little bit wide, has just lost a little bit of speed. So we'll see if he can continue to carry that all the way through. But after that, it'll be just about 2 minutes, and we'll be getting into the race here at Snetterton. I think it's Gonna be quite chaotic, especially down to turn number 1.
Oh yeah, but we can hope for a clean race, but yeah, all we can do is hope.
Yep.
It all depends. It all depends on the drivers.
Yep, that's the big story of today is
Oh, and
hope.
Carnes,
Cairns
a
there, up into
very good lap
8th.
time there.
Beautiful improvement from him. We look behind. Rumbouts has lost some time. He's struggling to hold even a 10th of a gap over himself as he fires on through that final corner. He's getting a little loose, and he's into the pits. He's over and out. And Vinogradov, he was 6/10, and he just...
happened on the last corner.
Oh,
Just
that's...
as you change the camera to him.
Oh, that's horrible. You hate to see it. That's...
Unfortunate, I think.
It
but
is.
Yeah, P3 for Vinogradov, P4 for Rumbouts, and of course, let's not forget our top 2.
Of course. I think it's time for my favorite thing of all, if I can find the right button, which I never do every time. I'm consistently inconsistent, which is great. But let's do a track walk, our little no, not track walk. Let's do a grid walk here, as we always do at the start of these races. No safety car this time, but you can see just how many drivers have showed up and showed out. Beautiful stuff. Of course, Simon Bauer on pole position. He's going to look to make, that's his 4th pole position this season. Pole positions have gone Bauer, Cuthbert, Bauer, Bauer. So Bauer 3 in a row here, and that's a very good result from him. Hearn and Vinogradov, 2 BMWs, finding their way into that top 3. We'll see if they can hold station behind the charging Bauer there in the Honda. Rumbouts, 2nd in your championship right now. Unfortunately, starting in P number 4, so he's got some work to do here this evening if he wants to challenge Bauer for that win. Try to deny him yet another... to deny that 3rd win. Both of these drivers, again, looking for that 3rd win this season. It's Fredrickson, Nemeth, Rose, Cairns, Ippolito, and Cuthbert into the top 10. Abelstead doing a very good job amateur-wise, popping it into P11. Was sitting in that top 10 for a little bit, but got pushed out. Then it's Beauchart there, P12. Huziak, 13th, and then the 2 Zenaker brothers in both Audis. 14 for Lucas, 15 for Andreas. Ben Huneveld down there in P16. James Terry in the Aston Martin as well in 17th position. Partez and Hutton, 2 Porsche drivers there, 18 and 19 for them. Tim Friel in the McLaren. It's actually going to be 3 McLarens in the back. Brioso and Olberg, of course, did not have the option to go into qualifying. They had those qualification bans from earlier in the season, previous races. So we'll see what they can do starting at the back of the grid. But ladies and gentlemen, we are just about into that final minute of pre-race setup when 30 seconds is on that start session timer. Drivers have to hit drive or else they are going to be starting from the pit lane. Again, no safety car here, so anything that may cause a safety car will definitely be virtual. But I think it's time we take some take a moment, as always, to thank the sponsor of Season 12 of the Sprint Series, Simrigs, one of the best, in my opinion, sim racing providers in all of Australia. This Melbourne-based company has got you and New Zealand covered. If you happen to live outside of those borders, maybe you're in North America like myself or in Europe like Charles over here, you can send them an email and I'm sure they'd be more than happy to do some business with you. And if you're an OR Patreon member, of course, you get 5% off your purchases, so please, please, please use it. These things are not cheap by any means, so whether you're looking to upgrade or maybe get the ball rolling, Simrigs has got you covered. But now, Charles, I think we take some speculation, take some bets here. Who do we think is going to take it? I mean, the obvious answer, but if you're looking at a driver to look at, who would you say?
I mean, might be a little bit of a weird bet, but I think Nemeth. Nemeth has a real...
Go on.
Proved he's very quick in Misano, and who knows what he can do on a closed-off track like this. Of course, potential chaos on lap 1, and yeah, I think anything can happen for him.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And you think to be 3rd in the championship in Pro-Am, despite being relatively new to all of this, it's definitely going to be something to look forward to this evening. I wouldn't be too surprised if we see Nemeth into that top 10, but of course you have to get through at least Fredrickson. And with that mandatory pit stop, it's going to shake things up a little bit. We don't know what the driver strategies are going to be. Of course, that pit window opens 5 minutes into the race, and then you have the next, what, 50 or some odd minutes to get your pit stop done, or else you're going to cop a penalty. So some drivers will probably do 15 minutes on and then 45 on the next set, maybe 30-30, 40-20. We don't really know, so we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it's going to be quite the challenge, especially for Nemeth to get into that top 5. Roombout's as well, a lot of work to do to try and challenge Bauer. He's got 2 Porsches to get through. Of course, he would have liked to have started with his fellow driver on that front row, but that is not the case.
Yeah, of course. And as we were looking at Bauer there, just appreciate how beautiful those liveries look. All of top 5, really. And yeah, I think. What's your favorite livery on this grid?
Probably. Where is he? I just saw him. Cuthbert, of course. I'm a sucker for the Fina livery on the McLaren. It's one of my all-time favorites, of course, on the McLaren F1, back from the 90s. All-time favorite livery, besides Jeff Gordon's Flamin' 24 or Dale Earnhardt's number 3 Intimidator. But ladies and gentlemen, it is Snetterton, the inaugural race of this great circuit in the British GT Pack. It is Simon Bauer on pole, Hearn joining him, Vinogradov into that top 3. Roombout's a little bit of carnage to push through if he wants to challenge for that top spot. Fredrickson 5, Nemeth, Rose, Cairns, Ippolito, Cuthbert into the top 10, and everyone else following suit. But ladies and gentlemen, we crossed that first timing line, and it's green, green, green here at Snetterton. It's going to be a really good jump there from Vinogradov, already on the inside of Hearn, down to turn number 1. Later on the brakes, fires it around, but it is going to be Hearn on the attack once again. He bumps the Russian, who does get moved aside. He keeps it pinned, though. Beautiful save there from Vinogradov. Rumbouts will take that and push up a little bit further onto this pack. We have a spin. We have Cairns who spun out. I didn't see who that was there in Aston Martin. It was Ippolito getting spun out at turn number 2, already facing the wrong way and way, way down there. So we've had a really good start there from the leaders, but that mid-pack is where all the chaos is starting.
Yeah, and as you were commentating on the leaders, I believe that was Cuthbert who just went a little bit on the grass there. Not sure if he was pushed off or what happened at the start.
I didn't quite see it myself, but yeah, he's Cuthbert losing some time there, so he's got a lot of ground to make up here this evening. But Simon Bauer already, the beauty of starting on pole as a once great F1 icon has said, when you're starting on pole, that means everyone else is behind you. And Bauer, of course, taking that right to heart and already pulling ahead. Hearn has stayed in second position. The bump onto Vinogradov shook the number 144 a little bit, but was able to keep things squared away nicely. But Rumbouts has not given Vinogradov a chance to really breathe at the moment. And you can see just how close he is and how much he's sort of fighting this Porsche. Down into the final corner, he's very late on the brakes. You saw him just flicking that wheel side to side. He is really trying to find all the time he can to get back around Hearn. But at the end of the first lap, it's Simon Bauer in first, Hearn second, Vinogradov third, Rumbouts, Fredrickson into the top 5. It's Rumbouts looking down the inside to turn number 1. That almost didn't work out too well. Thankfully, able to back out and just leave that alone, live to fight another day. Let's look back in the pack a little bit. You can see the back of Abelstead in the front as well. That BMW, a little scratched up.
Oh yeah, I think he had some scratching in the first lap, but of course, Robin is racing.
Yep, absolutely. Unfortunately, not NASCAR, so these cars don't really like being, beaten and banged a little bit, but, we take what we can get. Let's look around, see what we have going on. James Hutton here for Delta Hunters in the 64 Porsche right now has the number 13 of Cuthbert behind him. Of course, Cuthbert, like you said, Charles, had that little bit of grass touch, lost a lot of time down in P18, so Hutton has quite a lot of pressure behind him. Of course, Brioso there ahead, who did start at the back of the grid, has made up some positions along with Ulberg. So the two guys who didn't get to participate in qualifying already starting to make up a lot of time here and getting that charge going.
Oh yeah, I think Ippolito and Cuthbert will have to really push. As we see, Abelstead making a move on Zineker, but not quite working out as Zineker just closes that door there.
Yeah,
And
Zineker got
we
onto the...
see Bochart joining the party.
Yep, Bochart in the Lamborghini, of course, something that we're very used to here in EU Sprint. Sitting P10 right now for the number 79. Of course, Abelstead ahead. That has been a change from Lamborghini to BMW. So Bochart may be a little upset that he lost his one and only Lamborghini teammate as he completely misses his brake point, almost going into the back there of the BMW. And we do... Is that Bauer?
Oh,
Wait,
that's
Bauer? What has
That is
happened
Bauer.
here? Let's see if we can catch
Bauer
this.
went out.
Oh, he just went wide on the grass. He pushed it too hard into the first corner. Kept it off the wall, thankfully, but he gets... I think he got collected by somebody towards the end there. I'm not certain.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure either Zineker or Abelstead.
Oh,
Yep,
it's Zineker. Yeah, he just pushes him aside. Thankfully, they both get out of that. But your championship leader down in P9, and that gives Hearn a chance to push up into first place, followed by Vinogradov and Rumbouts. Everyone else, basically from where Bauer was to now, has gained a free position without even trying. Abelstead down the inside makes contact there with Zineker. That's going to maybe be looked at by the stewards.
That's gonna enable Bauer to get a run on Zineker.
It is. But it's not going to be too easy, and you do see... who is that? Bochart as well, starting to challenge. He has not had this opportunity, has never had the words challenging Bauer for position in his ears, but this is the first time he's going to have it, and he does get around, yes.
Amazing racing we see there, but unfortunate from Bauer. Of course, mistakes happen, but yeah, it is all racing, and hope to have a clean race here.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of the OOR. You never know what's going to happen. Yeah, you have your consistent drivers always at the front, but it's never really set in stone. Bauer down P10, so this race is going to get a lot more difficult as Huneveld going way off onto the grass. That's going to give Partez a chance to just send it around the outside as we do see Bauer into the pit lane. This is probably going to be for damage and maybe possibly tires. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, you want to avoid as much pit time as humanly possible. But, yeah, that's unfortunate there for the German. So it looks like that third win is going to be maybe a little bit too far away. Has to cross a couple of oceans, perhaps.
Oh, yeah, of course. Many disadvantages to pitting this early, but I think they're obvious, so don't have to really tell them. But as we can see here, Hearn and... who is that? Vinogradov.
Yep. And there's
really close together, as Rumbouts is also just stalking there.
Yeah, Rumbouts got a lot closer. Vinogradov onto the grass, so he does lose some time there. Thankfully, however, was able to keep that Porsche under control. You know, as someone who is driving the Porsche, again, I forgot how much she just wants to kill you because you decided that you wanted to drive. But, no, I mean, these two guys, of course, Hearn and Vino, I mean, they've got this car down to a science, and you can see Vinogradov really starting to push it now. But yeah, this is what can happen. People always talk about the Porsche being a car that everyone drives, but just because everyone can drive it doesn't mean that they're able to drive it, and that's where your front two really sort of separate themselves.
Oh yeah, of course, a Porsche is a very difficult car to master, and as we can see, he goes almost off the track there, Vinogradov, which enables Rumbouts to get a run into turn 1, I think.
Oh yeah, he had a huge launch, and I think this might be Vinogradov backing out of the turn. No, he's not. He's actually keeping it. This is beautiful stuff. On the outside, Vinogradov wiggling on the dirt and somehow holds the position and almost takes himself out. Rumbouts almost losing his nose there, but able to avoid contact. Incredible stuff from both of these guys, showing a lot of respect, giving just enough room to make it interesting, but not enough to make the overtake happen. Vinogradov holding on for another lap here.
Oh yeah, that was millimeters from disaster, I think. Very close racing from Rumbouts and Vinogradov, and might be some complaining there from Rumbouts, I think, because I think Vinogradov just closed the door.
Yeah, it certainly looked like it. And of course, with these two battling, it gives Hearn a chance to pull away. The gap almost a second now. Vinogradov, of course, maintaining just under 3/10 to Rumbout. He wants that to be a much larger gap, but it's not really going to be what he's looking for. Partez right now running P11 with Olberg. I mean, Olberg, another amateur class driver, and he is closing in on the top 10. So, yeah, some of these drivers definitely punching above their weight.
Oh yeah, mind you, Olberg started last.
Yep, him and Brioso. And Brioso currently is in 15th, so there's not too much separating the two quali sit-outs. But it's almost makes you wonder if they actually got out there and got to qualify, where would they be right now?
Yeah, I cannot tell you because yeah, it is a difficult track and a lot of luck is involved in qualifying here and getting that perfect lap here. As we can see, Rumbout's making a move again on the inside.
And again, it's the same thing. He just can't get around. He's going to try again into the same corner where he was denied. But it's Vinogradov still just holding on. And as I say that, he has to dip in behind. So Rumbout's one more driver to get through if he wants to overtake the lead. But of course, he does have quite a long ways to go if he wants to pick up that third win. Him and Bauer fighting for the third win of the season. Both of them 2 apiece. No one else has won here in EU. So maybe Daniel Hearn will get his time in the sun here, or if he'll have to also wait another week. But a really good move there from the Dutchman.
Oh yeah, that is a really beautiful move to the inside, and he just trusted Vinogradov enough to send it on the inside and make it past them.
Yep, and we see Terry having to do battle with Ippolito, the Italian on the inside. It's going to have to wait another corner or so. There's some really good overtaking spots here at Snetterton, but a lot of the time you're just sitting behind and waiting for those moments to come. Terry hanging on P16 at the moment, the Pro-Am driver leading from his fellow Aston Martin. And then behind them it is, who is that? Zanecker and Cairn, surprisingly, and then Hutton, Friel somewhere else in the world, and Bauer is just starting another lap now. So, yeah, things really getting shaken up here very early on at Snetterton.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and that's Abelstead
already.
off. Or sorry, Olberg.
Oh yeah, it is.
It's Olberg, my bad. It's Olberg, not Abelstead.
Okay. And Vinogradov into the pit lane. As we can see, Rose picking up a penalty for something. I'm not sure what. I can imagine a collision, but I am not sure.
Well, let's check the penalty bot in the Discord that we use. It makes our life so much easier. It is out of position, actually, at the start of the race. So one thing that the race directors look for is making sure everyone, of course, is in the right position, and sometimes it does get a little bit tricky. So Rose stepping out of line, unfortunately, so 10 seconds will be added on to the pit stop, and that'll be a point onto his license. Of course, if you pick up 8 penalty points, you will have to sit out qualifying. I don't remember what the current numbers are. I can take a quick look.
Yeah, I think it is 8 for a qualifying ban, and then something like 14 for a race ban. Am I correct?
Yeah, you're correct. I just wanted to take a look at the current. All right, so let's see. So the number 18 car who is not here, and the 1, 2, 3 as well, not here. Those drivers are a point away. If we actually look at the attendance sheet, I could give you a number. I forget what the numbers are already. I know it's 1, 2, 3, and what else?
Oh, and we can see Bouchard making a move there on Zineker. That is
around the outside. Into that's a very surprising
it...
place to make that work.
Yeah, out of nowhere, I think.
Yeah, I just wasn't expecting it. So it looks like, so number 123, that is Starkey, who isn't here this evening, and then it was...
Yeah, I think Starkey decided to quit the season, so I do not think we will be seeing him anymore in OR.
Yeah, always unfortunate. And then number 18, I'm also not seeing, so that might be another dropout. But either way, everyone else...
We see another penalty applied to Ben Hunewald here. excuse me for the butchering of names.
Oh no, that's correct. Isn't it fun? Isn't it fun to learn the Dutch language?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh,
Also for out of position, and we see, what's that? Huziak making a move on Cuthbert.
yep, gets it.
Beautiful on the inside, I think.
Yeah, I think he almost had a look there at Huneveld, but the door just closed and he had to back out. But Huziak up into P11, Huneveld holding on barely to that P10. You see Abelstead there, amateur class up in P6. But of course we've had some pit stops come through, Vinogradov and Olberg as well. So Vinogradov is now sitting with Simon Bauer way down on the grid, and I'm sure once the pit stops come through, they'll be shuffled around a little bit. Brioso, Cairns sort of just doing their own thing at the moment. Things have actually settled down quite well, so we'll sit here with Huziak and wherever he is. There he is. Huziak, Huneveld, and Cuthbert. The battle for P10 at the moment. Huneveld with that 10-second penalty for out of position, like you said there, Charles. So that'll get added on. Of course, I'm always in the school of thought of if I'm going to get a penalty, I want to get it for, or get it before my my pit stop.
Yeah, of course, it's always great to get it cleared by the pit stop, so you don't have to calculate during the race where you are going to finish.
Yeah, exactly. The way, for maybe those who don't know, the way that the pit stops work here in ACC at the very least.
Oh, and Huneveld off the track there.
I was
Giving
so busy.
up position to both Cuthbert and Huziak.
Well, that's not going to do him any good. So down in P11, the Dutchman maybe getting a little bit spooked. And there's a spinning Cuthbert. Wow, he just completely lost the back end of the car.
Yeah, I think that's just rear locking happening there.
Let's see. So
I don't know what happened.
Oh, he lagged.
Teleported back.
He lagged behind. Wow, that's a new one. I was confused because you had just said he gave up a position to Huneveld, and then he was behind Huneveld despite not really slowing. That's a strange one. And Huneveld into 17th.
Yeah, I think it is unfortunate, but I think the race director will have a talk with Cuthbert about him lagging here, because I do not think that is very safe for people around.
No, it's...
As you saw, he just teleported behind, and of course...
Yeah, it's always... That's the thing with sim racing, is it's kind of... When you see someone sort of teleporting or phasing in and out of existence, you always... I don't know about you, but I always start backing off. I'm like, okay, this guy's lagging, I might die, I don't feel like dying just yet, I got some stuff in my life I want to accomplish before I inevitably cross over to the other side. But yeah, it's unfortunate. And again, Huneveld down in P17. That's sort of the last thing he needs.
Oh yeah, to be taken out in the first place is terrible, but to be taken out because of a glitch or a lag is even worse, I think. So yeah, was going well for him, but now he will have to climb back up.
Yeah, but nothing he can't handle at the moment. Again, that 10 seconds added on. So as I was saying before, we had that unfortunate mishap. For pit stops here in ACC, tire change and fueling happen at the same time, and it's 30 seconds from the time from the moment that those pit crews start getting working on the car to the time you're released. So 30 seconds is standard. Damage, of course, will add time. If you want to change brakes, that'll also add some time onto it. And then once you get through all of that, you will have 10 seconds, in this case, for Huneveld and Rose to just sit there and think about what you've done. Some series will have the penalty start immediately, and then after that the crews can get working. But here in ACC, the crews can get working right away, and then you just have to sit there for an extra 10 seconds. So yeah, it's some time calculation, of course, that has to be done. But it shouldn't be too much of an issue. I think once we start getting up into 15, 20 seconds, that's where you start getting a little bit nervous. And speaking of nervous...
As you're talking, we can see Partes here having a run on Zineker.
Yeah, Zineker had to sit on the inside there, wanted to just, maybe keep that door closed, and was able to get back onto the racing line as Partes has to sort of file back in behind. But you saw the slipstream there coming into huge effect. These two Aston Martins, Terry Ippolito, sort of batting a little bit more, and that actually pulls Cairns into the picture, which could bring Brioso and Zinecker as well. So we could be seeing a 5-way fight for 10th position here if things go the way I think they go.
Oh yeah, of course, but it is all speculation, and until it actually happens, we cannot really guess what will happen. And as we see, Ippolito goes into the pit lane, so...
Yeah, some very early pit stops here. Obviously, for someone like Bauer, it's sort of against his own will, if you'd say. So he's done that. But yeah, we're seeing some very early pit stops here. So I'm wondering if drivers are banking on making up positions later for the mother of all undercuts. But again, like you said, speculation, and this is part of it. We have to figure out where are these drivers going to end up. Von Cairns here in P11 has to chase down Terry while keeping Brioso at bay. There's only... Brioso's lost a lot of time, actually.
Yes, it appears so.
And there's Terry!
And there goes... Yeah. Just off the track.
And
The Aston Martin, I think he missed his braking point there. If we can get a replay.
Let's see, 15 seconds maybe? It's too far. I think he may have missed his brake point, yeah. So that's some of these corners are deceptive in how they're laid out, and you think your brake point's a little further back or maybe a little further forward, and by the time you realize that you've already lost precious seconds, thankfully it was only a single position there for the Englishman. Brioso behind, despite being very close, did have to change his line a little bit, and that has put him back. Olberg has picked up.
Oh, and wide again from Terry, which gives Brioso a very nice run. But he cannot make a move, so I think he will have to wait until the main straight to do anything, really.
Yeah, he's got some... he does have pace under that McLaren. Of course, faster than the Aston Martin. So let's see what's happened. So Olberg's picked up a 15-second penalty for a lap 1 collision. Zinecker as well for a lap 1 collision. So things are getting a little bit hectic here at Snetterton, but can we really be surprised, all things considered?
Yeah, I don't think it's very surprising at this track, because... Oh, and as we speak, Abelstead also picks up a penalty.
Jeez, everything's popping off. There's Hutton losing a position to Vinogradov, of course. Same car, but you know the caliber that the Russian is. Vinogradov flashing the blinker saying thank you very much, and he moves back on up. Simon Bauer is sort of stuck in this weird position. He'll be behind Hutton and Huneveld, and that gap is massive at the moment.
Oh yeah, it is very massive, but I think Bauer, if he has enough pace, he will eventually just get past them. And if he doesn't, then I think it's just unfortunate, because it was an unforced mistake in the early stages of the race, and nothing much he can do about it.
No, not at all. And it's Abelstead's penalty, or sorry, Zinecker picks up a 15-second for lap 1 collision. So, yeah, the opening lap is always very chaotic here at any new circuit, especially. So I think this is a very appropriate inauguration for Snetterton.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, but for any circuit, the first time it is shown on the calendar, it's always going to be a bit chaotic, if I may say, because of course you are never really prepared for what you will see in the race.
Yep, exactly. But some of these drivers have coped brilliantly. Hearn, Rumbouts, Nemeth there into P3. Of course, pit stops as well. Husiak decides that now's the time to get some fresh rubber on those tires. Brioso with Andreas behind him, although Andreas, 15 seconds will get added on, so I don't think he's all too worried about this overtake really being set in stone. A lot of time left for moves to happen. We join Lucas and Partes here. One day I'll figure out how to say that first name for the poll. But yeah, they're still battling, and it's Zinecker off his line there. Does that give a chance for the Porsche to push through? No, it doesn't. Partes having to back out there. Zinecker having to sort of brake it a little early as well. And that, again, just Partes gets invited right back into this. Hopefully no Audi tings here today, but this is starting to heat up a little bit.
Oh yeah, definitely it's starting to heat up a little bit, but right now I am trying to trying to figure out how to pronounce the first name of Bartes.
Oh, we'll save that for another day. I'll probably just ask him. I'll be like, "Hey, man, what?" And yeah,
Best
we'll go from
best
there.
guess is Iriush, but
Iridius? I don't know. Polish is always a
Iridius?
confusing language
Maybe.
for me.
Yeah.
But either way, doing a very good job right here, sticking with the Audi. Of course, Andreas Zinecker and Lucas Zinecker, or sorry, Lucas and Andreas. Andreas is down in P12 right now. No, both the Zinecker brothers we've seen before here in the OOR. I believe last season they both competed, and it was always fun when they got together and had to fight a little bit. But for right now, they both have a 15-second penalty, so that's going to cause a little bit of strife there as Partez running it way outside. And that's a very common thing we see at turn number 1, is drivers just misjudging and they send it out all the way and they lose a good bit of time. Or, I don't know about you, but over the inside curb, actually right towards the end of it, there's a rise in the curbing, and that catches a lot of people off guard.
Oh yeah, of course, especially the Porsche, McLaren, Ferrari. Those cars are very unstable over any curbs, so uh, if you have a sudden elevation change, the car is just done, I think.
Yeah, and especially because that first 2/3 of the curbing is just flat. You can ride over it like it's nothing, sort of like some of the curbs right here. But then again, it's that little rise later on, and as you said, Porsche, Ferrari, McLaren. No Ferraris in the field today, but it does cause some of that unsettling and can spin you out. I can tell you for a fact that I have been on the receiving end of that.
We have the top 2 in the pit lane right now.
Oh yeah, Hearn and Rumbout's both in, so let's see who
One after another.
Yeah, it does. Where are the pit boxes? So it looks like Rumbouts' pit box is somewhere in relation. Oh, it's right in front of Hearn's.
They're right next to each other.
This
How
is gonna
convenient.
this is gonna get very interesting, because how long has Hearn been? How quickly did Hearn get into the pit lane though? That's the big question that we have to ask.
I am unsure.
I've
We
never been.
will keep the camera on this and we'll see.
I've never been more excited about a pit stop. I don't think I've ever been this invested. It's Hearn, so
and
Hearn gets
there
out,
goes Hearn.
and then
Rumbouts
Rumbouts.
Still stationary.
They're gonna come out in traffic.
The gap has actually extended to Hearn, I think.
Let's see once things update in the broadcast tool, of course. It takes a little bit. We're going to have to join up ahead here. Terry and Brioso have some disagreement here about who's going to be in 8th position. There's Andreas Sineker, the other brother, who is joining the fray, it looks like. The Aston Martin, a very solid choice overall, very stable. Doesn't really excel in anything, but it does extremely well in all things. And it's a very good starter car if you're looking to, get into ACC. This is definitely one car you should be looking at, should be picking up. Or the Bentley.
I do not agree with that entirely, but
well, I mean,
alright.
the Bentley's kind of slow, but you can throw it over pretty much anything and it'll take it. You'll just have to settle with being.
You do have a point, but nobody likes the Bentley.
I love the Bentley. I did 9 hours straight in the Bentley. Excuse you, sir. All because of a joke. All because of a joke. Oh goodness.
All right.
Back to the action.
We can see Abelstad picking up more penalties for lap 1 incidents.
And Andreas Sineker as well picks up another bit of penalties. Abelstad going into the pit.
And as we speak, Abelstad into the pit lane. And after all of the pit stops are done, I see Bauer actually gained quite a bit of positions. He went from what was that, P19?
Whoa, Andreas in the background, sorry.
I did not see what happened.
No, he just speared off. And that's what you said earlier in the broadcast about that final corner. We're going to be seeing a lot of drivers going off there at the final corner, just running it wide, and I think that's what happened to Terry.
Oh yeah, might have happened, yeah. Or, he might have just missed his breaking point, but we will never know.
We caught it, I wasn't paying attention. I know something I never do. But that's some pit lane. Abelstead's going to be sitting there for quite a long time. Cairns, Terry, Zinecker, not really. Zinecker, of course, will have to worry about his pit stop and the added time. Lucas, though, yet to pit. He'll have 15 seconds added on. So now we're getting all these pit stops through. Things are going to get shuffled up. Things are going to get a little bit concerning and a little bit scary, especially as you have some faster drivers ending up behind those that are, not to be dismissive, but maybe slower than them.
Yeah, I think everybody about in the top 6 right now except for the Matt has got here right on the pit stop, so I'm sure where they will come out.
We'll have to wait and see. Of course, Nemeth here leading the race. That's a phrase I'm sure that's been sat on for a while, and they'll have to navigate Abelstead, which they do there as he comes out of the pit lane. But for the time being, the Hungarian ahead of Rose there, another Briton in this race, and you can see them joining some blue flags. So the blue flag cars will always have a weird impact on how things are played out, because you have to sort of time it correctly. You sort of hope you get the chance to overtake at the best possible time and the person chasing you doesn't.
Yeah, I think that is to an extent true, but of course blue flag cars, are moving away from the racing line to let the lapping cars through as per the rules in F1, of course.
Yep.
As we follow those.
Yep.
But yeah, I think Nemeth is having quite a nice race here. Still has not pit, but oh, there's Rose, a bit of oversteer out of that corner.
Yep, caught it beautifully. No problems there. That's a pretty standard thing that happens in the Porsche, as we see side by side Abelstead and Terry, I believe that is.
Yeah, that is Terry and Abelstead
Yeah.
just having a little bit of a fight, I think.
Yeah, Terry losing that position, so made up a spot there for the Swede, who has, again, started from the back of the grid, is finding himself back down, and with 15 seconds as well added on post pit stop. That is just going to be all sorts of
there we
problems.
see Nemeth into the pit lane.
Yep, so Abelstead, a collision on lap 3 gives him a penalty. Simon Bauer gets a warning for an unsafe rejoin on lap 3. That's what we saw earlier with him spinning out. Andreas Sineker, 15 seconds for collision on lap 3. And then Ryan Cuthbert has a warning for a collision on lap 9. So I think we saw some contact earlier on in the race. Thankfully, he's able to get away from that with no skin off his back.
I think that was... Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the lag we saw.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yep.
Yeah, understandable that it is just a warning, because I don't think he could really control it.
No, not at all. That's completely out of his control. It's something that obviously we don't really think about until it happens. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah, of course. You cannot really control a car that is being teleported around the track.
No, definitely not.
It's a bit impossible.
Unless you're like superhuman, then maybe you have a chance, but I mean, the skills of our drivers only go so far. Right now, though, Jake Rose is the pseudo-leader of the race. Of course, we'll have to pit as Nemeth is actually out of the pit lane into P8 for car number 8. Very appropriate. So we'll see what more can be done. Huneveld, Partez, Lucas Sineker, Bochart, and Rose, the only drivers, have yet to pit. Huneveld's going to be losing a good number of positions, especially being down here in P10 with 10 seconds added on. Just ahead, we do see Simon Bauer back into the top 10. Obviously not a unusual sight for the German, but of course we're used to seeing him maybe a little higher up.
Yeah, of course, but I still think it's a great recovery drag thus far, and he can really get more positions out of this.
Yep, with the drivers ahead, of course. There's Rose into the pit lane, so that will shake things up a bit. 10 seconds added on. It's going to be quite a good bit of time. We have Bart Bochart here in the number 79 Lamborghini passing up the pit lane. Decides that he's not ready to go in. Lucas Sineker with Partez behind. These two have been on each other for the last several laps now. We'll see who decides to go in. If they both go in, if one mirrors the other, there's Sineker into the pit. So Partez has a lot of work to do now because he knows that's going to be an undercut. But as I say that, I remembered 15 seconds, so Partez may not have to push as much.
Yeah, I was just about to correct you there with the 15 seconds. Yeah, but you mentioned it right in time, and yeah, I do not think that Bartes really has to push at all, because yeah, 15 seconds is ages in the pit lane. It is half of your normal pit stop.
Exactly, and especially how much time you spend just getting through the pit lane. So right now, this will be these two guys right here, Hearn and Rumbouts. This will be the battle for the lead. We do have James Hutton there in the background. He's just sort of there for moral support, of course, for his fellow Porsche driver, if I had to really bet on it. But once Beauchart and Partes go into the pit lane, these two will be promoted back up into the lead. So we'll have another fight for position number 1. Lucas Seneker into the pits. Ben Huneveld is going to get ready to serve his pit stop plus 10 seconds. So Beauchart and Partes, the only two who have yet to put new rubber on their cars. And once that happens, things are going to get really interesting. Although Jake Rose right now under pressure from Simon Bauer. He's made up another position onto Fredriksson. This is the charge for the German. How is he going to do it? A bit of a blitzkrieg, perhaps?
I do not think it is very smart to do a blitzkrieg around Snetterton.
You're right. Yeah, it's not the best circuit, of course. Better ones. Bathurst would definitely be it, I think.
Oh yeah, of course. My favorite.
Great track. Oh, Bauer there. You can see how much later he's braking. Does that scare Rose off the line? Down the inside he goes. It does, yes, and that's another position, but it's a switchback there from Jake Rose. Tries to get the exit, but there's not enough power under the hood there, and Bauer, despite giving a slipstream to the Porsche behind, is able just to pull away Simon Bauer up into P7, and Beauchart Partes into the pit lane. This can put him up even further. So Daniel Hearn and Rumbouts into turn number 1. The Dutchman try to move on the inside. It wasn't going to work out for all that long. And he's swinging all over the place, trying to find some real estate to play with, but not enough. Hearn holding on to P number 1 right now. Vinogradov gets promoted to P3. Nemeth into P4. Very surprising there from the Hungarian. Really making a splash here in the OOR. And then we got to wait for Simon Bauer to come through with Jake Rose in tow. Will they get out ahead of Beauchart? They both will. Beauchart just outside of that top 5. Partes still in the pits, though.
And yeah, Beauchart. I'm sorry.
Beauchart, no, you're right.
Yeah, Beauchart just about 2 seconds, I think, behind Rose there, and Bart is out of the pit lane now.
Yep, Olberg here losing a position to Abelstead. Olberg with that 15-second penalty, so that's gonna really hurt later on in the race. So we'll see how far down that puts him. If the numbers are to be believed, it's probably no further down than just behind Cuthbert there. So it'll be 17th for the Swede. But we'll have to see how much time he can gain. Partes gets around Fredriksson for P number... Or sorry, that's not Fredriksson. That's Ippolito, rather. It looks like Husiak is just ahead. So things are a little bit of position changes. Beauchart is... where's Beauchart? It's at P7 at the moment. And just up ahead, Jake Rose. So he could be looking for something later on in the race. Daniel Hearn is still ahead of Rumbouts. For a moment there, he was behind, but found some speed. So as we head down once again into turn number 1, Rumbouts looking on the inside. Is he going to make the line work? No, he isn't. Hearn somehow holding on to P number 1. This man is not going to give up this win that easily. He knows how close it is. He has another 23 minutes, but it's right there. He's just got to make sure both hands are on it by the end. Rumbouts, looking for his 3rd win this season, is not going to give this up. The defending champion has a lot of work to do, and it's not being made easy.
Oh yeah, definitely not being made easy, but from what I can see, Rumbouts is just trying to get in Hearn's mirrors, trying to make him make a mistake and just make an easy pass when he does it.
Yep, and
but Hearn does not seem to be making any mistakes thus far.
Oh, be careful, be careful. You know the power you have, Charles. You keep forgetting. You forget the powers you have as a commentator. Yeah. But no, I think it's a good point that you mentioned the mirrors. We've talked about this here in EU. We've talked about it in NA. Is just sitting in that rearview mirror of the driver ahead. It can cause some sort of, psychological trauma, if you will. It seems like no matter how quickly you drive, you just can't pull ahead. You can't pull that gap out. And that's maybe what Rumbouts is banking on. or perhaps betting on sort of the instability that the Porsche can have, especially over some of these curbs. This little dip in the ground as you come out the other side is another common spot for the Porsche to lose it. You can see how much Rumbouts is pushing it. Of course, this corner, it's never really going to work for an overtake, but later on the brakes, Rumbouts goes. In another lap, he's a lot closer now in the slipstream. He's trying to stay there as much as he can. He's going to try to get this move done a little bit sooner before the corner, almost into the back end there of the Porsche. As we head down into turn number 1, does Rumbouts have the move done? It doesn't look like it is.
Contact.
Third race, third lap. Oh my god, I can't even speak. The same thing. The same thing has happened 3 laps in a row. Rumbouts is on the inside, but he can't make it stick because Hearn has so much more confidence around the outside, so much more speed. And again, Rumbouts is denied this P1.
Oh yeah, I think Rumbouts has to change his strategy there because 3 of 3 did not work, so, you know, if it doesn't work, you have to change it.
Yeah, normally they say third try is the charm, but that's not the case. Oberg coming under fire there from Terry as he makes a slide.
The curb there.
In the sausage curb.
Off the track.
Claims another victim. That is the thing with some of these corners. You have those huge sausages either very, very visible or sort of blended in well. And, well, Oberg giving you a sort of a really good experience of what it's like to go over those.
Yep, and we see Rumbouts there closing in to Hearn again for the 4th time now.
Yep, same thing, same place, just a slightly different lap. We also have down for the battle for 9th, Huziak, Partez, and Ippolito are, well, actually, Huziak is pulled away, so Partez has to hold on to this 10th position for another 20 minutes. Daniel Hearn still ahead, though, but for how much longer? It seems like both of these guys keeping it close, keeping it interesting. Rumbouts not as close as he was the last time out. So Hearn, a little bit of breathing room, trying to push this Porsche as much as he dares. As we get closer into turn number 1, in the slipstream sits Rumbouts, but there isn't enough road for him to make it happen, so he'll just stick behind, won't go for a move just yet. Just up ahead, the number 13 of Cuthbert, who is down in 19th. Not the race he's wanted. So this blue flag could start mixing things up a little bit.
Oh yeah, it definitely could, but let's hope that backmarkers do not play a part in who is going to win this race.
Yep, it's always hard. So this is another battle we got to look at. Huziak, Ippolito. Partez has lost that P10 to the Italian. So for Partez, that's even more work that has to be done. Huziak in a car that, relatively speaking, compared to the Aston Martin, is far superior. So he'll have some chances, and you can see how much clean air he has ahead of him. So he'll be more than happy to take this. Those 3 behind will have to sort themselves out. Ivan Cairns is another driver joining the fray, but not really in striking distance.
Oh yeah, of course, but I would disagree that a McLaren is superior to an Aston. In fact, I think it is the opposite with the current balance of power.
Oh yeah, okay, you might be right. I'm just okay. All right, yeah, I'm thinking in general. But yeah, and even if you have a faster car, you know, you can be held up by someone who isn't if you don't really know how to drive it. Of course, these guys know what they're doing. Rumbouts is a very good example of what can happen when you give a strong driver a strong car. But Daniel Hearn sort of throwing up the question mark, saying, "Are you sure about that?"
Oh yeah, of course, but as we can see, Rumbouts in the slipstream there, and then again on the inside, it's deja vu all over again.
And it's the same thing, and Daniel Hearn actually has to pull to the inside. He didn't get the best line there that he would have liked, unfortunately, so Rumbouts has to stick it around the outside. It's trading places right now. And there's just a little bit of a gap for Rumbouts to work with, and as I say that, you see him just dip behind. Daniel Hearn starting to sweat a little bit, I think. He's starting to maybe feel the heat, and it's getting a little too much for him.
Oh yeah, we have seen the same move.
There's contact.
There is. Yep.
But Rumbouts redresses it. He redresses the
Yeah.
position. He knows that wasn't done fairly, so gives it back to avoid a penalty. Very smart, of course, from the defending champion, of course.
Yeah, of course, but I think contact was inevitable in that fight, and how hard they are fighting. I mean, 3, 4, 5 or 6 laps of just the same move going over and over again, not working, and then almost working on this lap, but not quite.
Yeah, the respect these two have for each other, and just the strength of their character and abilities here in this game, in this sim, is nothing that can be understated. They've been at it, like you said, 5-6 laps, and they haven't let up yet. They've been giving us a beautiful show right now, and I don't know about you, but I am thoroughly enjoying this. And we head
Oh yeah.
a familiar sight, of course. Oh, I think Rumbouts might have gotten a little bit of oversteer out of the final corner. I'm not quite certain, but what I'm certain of is another slipstream. Does Hearn do what he did the last time?
Another one on the inside.
Almost in the
Almost
back.
making contact there.
Oh,
It
God.
was very close, I think.
Oh, it's insanely close. Rumbouts, of course, is looking for his third win this season. Bauer as well looking for that third, but of course, the German is way down there in P5 at the moment, although I think he's making a move on somebody. No, it's Jake Rose who's giving him a hard time right now. So despite his best efforts, Bauer has not been able to shake the 251 Porsche. So it's sort of an opposite effect. We see Hearn in the Porsche defending from Rumbouts, and then Bauer, Rumbouts in the Honda, of course. Bauer in the Honda and Rose in the Porsche. So sort of two ends meeting. And then you have Vinogradov and Nemeth sort of just in the middle.
Rose just very, very close on the bumper of the Honda there. Speaking of close on the bumper, look at Rumbouts.
Has not given up this campaign. He knows that he can get it done. He's just gotta find the best way to do it. So let's talk best laps for both of these guys. 149.382 for the number 131 Porsche of Daniel Hearn. And then Rumbouts here, a 149.470. So almost a tenth of a second are their best laps. And these that was their last lap, was a tenth of a second beside each other. And then the best lap for Daniel Hearn, I always get mixed up because of the way this thing is set up, but either way, a 146.412 is Hearn's best lap. A 146.345 is Rumbouts' best lap. So despite Hearn being a tenth of a second faster on the last lap, is a tenth of a second slower overall. And as we head through, it's actually a 200th of a second between these two on that last lap. Of course, Rumbouts having to maybe not take the most optimum line, so maybe there's a couple of tenths under that Honda, but there is just someone in the way that is not really letting him have the full potential of this car being unleashed.
Oh yeah, of course, but we are witnessing an amazing battle, I think, right here, and of course, Bauer and Rose also an amazing battle, but not with nearly as much action as we have in the front.
No, then you also see Beauchart there in the Lamborghini just sitting in the shadows, not really doing much. I think these guys maybe are going for maybe a bit of a slow burn of a battle, waiting and waiting and waiting, and then maybe in the final lap going for something power. I think this is breakpoint a little bit. But Hearn and Rumbouts have given us quite a lot of action here over the last 6, 7, 8 laps, and I don't think they're going to be done. This one's going to be decided at the checkered flag, I think, if I had to place my money on it.
Yeah, of course. I also bet the same right here, but as we speak of overtaking, Oberg made an overtake on Seneca just moments ago, I think.
Yeah, but he lost it back, so now he's right back to where he started.
Going back
in
and
the
forth.
sausage curbs
and
again.
The sausage curb, and he's off.
Oh, hold on. Simon Bauer right now in a lot of trouble. Jake Rose is on the inside. Does he get the move done? Simon Bauer stuck on the outside, almost making contact there with the 251 as we head down the back straight. In the slipstream, there's a little bit of a bump there. Doesn't unsettle Rose at all. There's no thorns on this Rose, but it certainly bites back. Beauchart there starting to take advantage of this opportunity to join the fray. Bauer loses this position. It's not what he wants. And we head back up just for a quick moment. Hearn staying ahead still. So Jake Rose ahead of Simon Bauer, and that pushes him right into the clutches of Beauchart. It's definitely not a position that the German wants to be in.
Oh yeah, definitely not. But I think Bauer is still doing a very good job managing the very old tires at this point, and he's not doing too badly, I think.
Yeah, that's something I completely forgot about. Bauer pitted very early, following his excursion at this same corner right here, and then there was a tap from another driver that spun him a little bit, and he had to go in and get his pit stop done, and then also decided that he would get damage sorted out, and that has put him way down. And yeah, like you said, Charles, those tires are extremely old at this point.
Yeah, it is. If anything, I think it is giving Bouchard very good motivation to just go for a move.
Yep, he
Because
knows.
he knows he is faster, and he can go for it anytime he wants.
Yep, Bouchard's last lap of 48.29, Bauer 49.45. Obviously not indicative of true pace because of how much Bauer had to back out. So we'll see what the times look like the next time they get across the start-finish line. But we have to stick here. The last lap for Hearn, a 48.26. For Rumbouts, a 48.22. So the pace is there. Rumbouts knows he can get it done. His fastest lap as well is just a little bit faster than the Porsche, but he can't find an opening. The doors are locked, and he's starting to run out of options. Hopefully he doesn't have to reach for the axe, because that is not going to go over too well.
Oh yeah, of course, it never ends well on this track, but we can see some left traffic perhaps making a roll there.
Well, let's take a peek. Yeah, you can see just up ahead, I believe that's Zeneker in the Audi, just beyond, or no, sorry. Oh, it is. Yeah, it is. It's Andreas Zeneker, and then you saw Olberg as well in the McLaren just up the road. That little red car darting to the left there. That is the number 595 from Sweden. But this, the other little red car you see in the rear view is one that's on the lead lap that is a problem, but for a completely different set of reasons. And that is Rumbouts chasing down another win, but he has 9 minutes to do so.
Oh yeah, this is gonna come down to the last lap, I think. They are giving it everything, I see, and it's going to be a great battle.
Yeah, Vinogradov, I think, also starting to have a little trouble in the meth there. In 4th position, last lap for the Russian, 47.8, 47.1 for Nemeth. So I'm not certain what's happened here. Maybe some extra braking there, but Vinogradov is holding on to P number 3, hoping to make it 2 Porsches in the top 3 on the podium. And then Rose could also make it a 3rd Porsche in the top 5. But of course, it's looking to be 4 German cars and 1 lone Japanese car in the top 5. Bauer just outside. We'll see if he can somehow overtake Rose, but that's going to be a lot of effort, because look at how much time he's lost. Despite sitting ahead of the 251, he's done nothing.
Yeah, of course.
Hold on. Oh, Rumbouts.
Oh, and they make contact.
And he almost spins himself out. This is... Charles, you talked about it. You can tell they're getting impatient. They're getting a little aggressive. They're making, you know, a lot of bumping and banging. You said you weren't surprised, and I can't say that I'm too surprised either.
Yeah, I do not know what happened there, because we only caught it last second, but looks like Rumbouts went on the inside and just sent it.
Yep, and Nemeth here.
Yes, we see Nemeth passing Vinogradov for position as he goes on the grass there. Vinogradov.
There's action just all over the place. Partez disconnecting for some... Oh god, did I disconnect?
This is not ideal.
No, it's not. Why?
Oh god.
For fuck's sake. Okay, hold on. We're trying. We're back on stream, which is good. Hold on. Hold on. It's gonna work, I promise. Apparently it's nighttime. Alright, we're back. We're live. We're in this B. Hold on. Just slight hiccup. We're good. Nothing happened. Shush. Daniel Hearn. Where is... What has happened? Have we lost like half the server?
I believe... No, we have lost 3 drivers.
I'm showing...
One of them being Rumbouts.
I'm showing 17. Oh, wait, I think we're all coming back. I hope this wasn't a server disconnect, because that's going to be huge. That is going to completely ruin quite a lot.
I mean, I was also disconnected from the server, so I do not know what happened. Yeah.
Let me just make
It
sure nothing's
looks like
updating.
Roombouts is out of it.
I need to make sure nothing's updating, which is a plus. Because the usual suspects aren't updating, which is good. Let me just... I am so sorry about that. I always hate when that happens. Oh, God.
Hold on, is the broadcast live?
Broadcast is go. We're still good. We're back. We're
Oh,
in.
that's good.
But the problem is we have like half the field. Because Hearn's in first. Hearn's still doing his thing.
The Met is in second.
Partez,
Winogrado in third.
Fredrickson in the pit. Hutton, Huneveld, Cuthbert, Terry, Bowers in fifth. Rose, Vinogradov, Nemeth is in... We've lost Rumbout. We've lost like a few drivers.
Yeah, we lost like 2 or 3 drivers, I think.
Let me
One of them
check.
being Roombouts. I do not know what happened, but let's just keep going, I guess.
I don't
Some
know.
technical difficulties. I apologize for that, everyone.
Yeah, hopefully we get that sorted out. Hopefully everything looks good on stream. I don't know if my internet dropped for a second, but then sort of recovered. So I'm not certain what's going on.
Okay, we have Roombouts back.
Okay, Roombouts in the pit. That's gonna be a huge problem for everybody, because I mean, it's a huge problem for us because my internet is struggling at the moment for some reason, despite paying a good bit of money for it. But whatever. Yeah, no, this is unfortunate, and the pit lane closed. So this race is pretty much like over.
Yeah.
Because Roombouts was way up there. Thankfully, I think he's going to be able to get back into the race.
I think he has to wait 3 minutes before he can go.
Oh, that's always rough when this happens. Looks like my internet stabilized. So apologies for that, everybody. Server issues and personal issues. Internet personal issues, not actual personal issues. I have those, but those are really unrelated. But wow, that's such a anticlimactic end. Well, we still had a very good race otherwise up until that point, I think. We had some very solid battles. Hearn, of course, defending several laps at a time from Rumbouts. Definitely the story of the evening. And it's been unfortunate. We have Rumbouts. He got fully disconnected. So that, oh god, you hate to see it. And Charles off currently trying to figure out issues, so it'll be just me again for the time being. Not something that we're unfamiliar with. Something that's very standard here. Man, my internet is all over the place. I have definitely made her unhappy.
Alright, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you loud and clear, boss man.
Oh, alright, I had some issues going on. I do not know what happened. But
it's
alright, it's all good now.
International DDoSing Day, apparently.
I really do not know what happened, but yeah.
Either way,
server died, my ACC died, my Discord died.
Everything.
I'm not sure.
We don't get to do anything today. Too bad. But we're back. We're here. So yeah, I mean, it was a good race though. I think overall we had a very fun time casting this this inaugural race here at Snetterton. Of course, not without a problem of some sort. Not to diss anybody, but you know, ACC server is definitely top notch overall across the board. Rumbouts is out on the track once again, but he is way down, 17th position, and just about 3 laps down off the leader. So an unfortunate turn of event here, and this is really gonna mess up the championship order because Bauer was stuck behind him, and this would have swung it back in Rumbouts' favor. But with Bauer all the way up there in position number 5, it's gonna be a huge amount of points being given. So I'm wondering if maybe the stewards will do something, maybe look at it, put positions back, but I don't want to. They might. Well, we can't
because during the free practice, Yeah, if you look at the chat, I reported that I have been experiencing server issues. So, and then we saw Cuthbert just teleporting around.
Yep.
So another clue at something happening. I am not sure what, but whatever it is, I hope it gets resolved for next week.
Yep. Ippolito's back. He was one driver who got disconnected as well. So
Yeah.
he's finally back. So it might be something with the server. I'm sure the technicians, if you will, are going to be taking a look at that and trying to get it sorted out. But yeah, we'll try to have this all back again next week. If there's any changes in the positions, of course, those will be reported at the next race at Suzuka. And
Yeah.
well, we'll
As
get
bad
back
as the
there.
servers are, at least it's not virtual Le Mans.
Oh, throwing some shade. Throwing some shade. I like it. I like it. But Daniel Hearn here, he could honestly lift off and let it coast for a little bit, because by the time he gets back, if he can time it just right, it will actually be it for him. So if he's listening, I'd be more than saying, hey, just lift off here for a little bit. Maybe he wants to navigate these corners first before deciding to get on
That's
there.
the last corner, I think.
It is, but I don't know if he's going to do it. I think he's
he's
going to go
not.
one more lap. So he
Yeah,
crosses
he
the
is.
line, 3 seconds to go. So for Daniel Hearn, he's looking at his first race win, maybe in some sort of less than ideal circumstances, but it'll still be a third winner here, a third different winner in the OL, or in EU rather. So that'll be something to really talk about, something kind of exciting. Ben Huneveld sitting behind Isaac Olberg here, 15 seconds for the Swede will put him behind the other Dutchman regardless. So for Ben, just has to sit within 15 seconds and he'll be home free, a free P14 for him. I'll be very happy about that.
There's a penalty to Rumbouts for something.
Ooh,
I
that's...
think collision.
Yeah, it might be for those, because he had the one tap earlier on. Yeah, the collision lap
Which
29.
he got a warning for, and then the other one, which we just caught on the stream, but unsure what happened.
Yep, he had the warning for the first one on lap 24, and then the one on lap 29 is what did him in. So I think even if he had gotten around, it wouldn't have mattered, because he would have been dropped. He would have been second place regardless, because the gap to Nemeth.
I mean, he would have been second place at least. Like this, it's yeah.
Yep, you never want it to sort of be decided by a disconnect, but there's only so much we can do in the virtual space. Obviously, if this were real life, there would be no such thing as a disconnect, probably just a crash. But unfortunately,
I mean,
it's
you can have a driver
disconnect
blackout or something. I
That's
don't know.
okay. Yeah, that's the real life disconnect. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, Daniel Hearn, a huge assault from Rumbouts that ended with Rumbouts being disconnected, but Daniel Hearn comes home to win it here at Snetterton by a long margin, and he is wiggling side to side, flashing the lights. He knows what he's just done. So Rumbouts and Bauer will have to wait another week for that first win, perhaps at the Super Sprint. We could see those third wins coming out. Nemeth, a surprising P2 finish for the Hungarian. Very, very excited about that. And then Eugene Vinogradov, a driver we've seen quite frequently high up here in the EU Sprint Series, comes across P number 3, rushes all the way back, and he gets a very good position. Jake Rose in P4, Simon Bauer will be in P number 5 following that lap 1 incident. Did an incredible job recovering and just barely held on to those tires. You saw Rumbouts there. It's an unfortunate afternoon, evening for him, but he'll have to settle for something that he's probably not going to be too pleased about, sensing it.
He just
Sends it into the wall in frustration. Ivan Cairns here. P number 6 for the Scot. Definitely a result he can be proud of. And then Huziak has held off Abelstead quite well. Sorry?
Yeah, I think that is a great result for the entirety of the top 10 guys.
Yeah,
even Zineker in 11th and Zineker in 12th.
Yeah, so the two brothers doing a very good job there. Huziak P7, Abelstead P8, Brioso 9th, and Terry picks up a P10 here at a home race for him. Lucas is the last driver on track right now. Of course, Fredrickson, Ippolito, Partez into the pit lane. We'll see. They won't cross the line, but Lucas Necker makes it P11, just ahead of his brother, who is down in P number 12. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here at Snetterton. Very exciting race all throughout, except for the end. Of course, we would love to see the battles go on. So we'll see if the race stewards and directors might change some things around post-race. See if that switches anything up, but that is going to do it.
It is very unlikely, but anything can happen. But yeah, unfortunate.
Absolutely. So we
I just got disconnected again.
oh my god. Good old ACC servers. What can you do? But we'll wait for this we'll wait for things to sort of turn over. I'm still connected, thankfully. Hopefully I didn't just jinx myself. No, we had Oberg teleported, or sorry, Abelstead into the pit lane, so there are clearly people who are able to do things. Brioso as well has teleported. Rumbouts is still planted firmly in the grass at turn number 1. So we'll see what's going on. And there we go. We get moved forward. So let's take a look at the final results here from a very interesting race here at Snetterton. Very exciting all throughout. So looking at...
let us say that those are indeed still unofficial results because of what happened. So
yep, exactly.
Take it with a grain of salt.
Yep, we'll get an update, of course. A true finalized result at the race in Suzuka. But looking for your overall drivers, Daniel Hearn holds on to make it home in P number 1. Nemeth and Vinogradov join him on the podium. For the Pro-Ams, it's Rose, Cairns, and Terry. Very solid race from all of them on the lead lap, of course, 34 laps around this circuit here in Norfolk, England. And then for the amateurs, Abelstead wins it over Zenecker and Huneveld. And for the unrated drivers, Brioso and Lucas Zenecker are your only two. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here at Snetterton. And man, what a day it's been.
Oh yeah, quite a race we had, and a dramatic ending, if you can say.
Yep, we're gonna have probably some the drivers already, of course, talking in the EU Blue Sprint chat room, mostly about the race, of course, but I'm sure that certain drivers are going to be in talks with the powers that be to try and get things sorted out. But this was a very exciting race nonetheless, of course. I'm very, very happy that this race was one that we got to do here, especially a new track, of course, always a set of challenges. And these drivers coped pretty well, I must say.
Yeah, I think it was a great race, very exciting at the front and really everywhere. There were a lot of moves happening, which I did not expect actually because of the tight layout of the track. But I think the drivers did a great job adjusting to the tight layout and just finding opportunities to pass other people. And yeah, we will see you all next week on Suzuka.
Yep, it was unfortunate, but we worked with what we had in some exciting battles, of course, throughout. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here tonight for EU. I am going to be back later on in about 3-4 hours, give or take, depending on what I decide. Or just kidding, I don't have to decide anything. No, I'll be back later here tonight for the North American Sprint Series, and then I will be joined later on in that broadcast by Mr. Sam Raworth, a driver that we've seen on track, and a commentator we've seen quite a lot of in the booth, of course. One quick last shout out to Simrigs for sponsoring Season 12 of the Sprint Series, Melbourne-based sim racing supplier. If you live on that beautiful island or that little island just to the southeast or just south of it, of course, they've got you covered there. Outside of that, Asia, Europe, North, South, Central America, send them an email. They'll be more than happy to work with you. And 5% off for our beautiful, beautiful Patreon members. Use that. Of course, these things are not cheap. But on behalf of myself, Charles, and everybody here at the OOR, we'd like to thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed your stay, and hopefully you guys enjoyed Snetterton here. Again, a race that we're not really familiar with, but certainly one that I feel could be included in later seasons. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, as always, we're going to be at Suzuka next week for a super sprint round. 2 races in an evening. We'll see what that can do. Bauer and Rumbouts have to wait for that third win. Hearn, though, more than happy to pick it up. But ladies and gentlemen, until next time, as always, stay safe, stay beautiful. We'll see you next time.